Welcome to episode 27 of All the Mod 7. In the last episode, we worked on getting ether gas. I finished up the Withermilker area, and it turned out pretty darn cool. We needed to do all that to make this thing, the Infinity Nuke. And we need the Infinity Nuke to make this, a pulsating black hole. And you do that inside of a pressure chamber, and we'll get to this in a later episode. I can make all these parts and pieces in here, except for this. Sigil of Suppression. I haven't even started blood magic yet. And that's what we're going to do in today's episode. So I prepared an area in the basement. This is where we're going to do our blood magic. We need a blood altar. And eventually we'll be able to feed liquid people to our blood altar and not use our own. We need some parts and pieces to get started in this mod. We need a blood altar and a sacrificial knife. While I craft these, please listen to our message from corporate.
Tubi is not an expert in blood magic, but he parked his train at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
All set? Let's go.
In order to craft anything in this mod, you need a blood altar, and you have to fill that blood altar with liquid people. We're going to build ours all the way up to a tier 4 blood altar eventually. So that's what all these blocks are. That's the skeleton of the shape of a tier 4 altar. So to start out, we're going to put our blood altar down, and then we take this sacrificial knife. We have to hurt ourselves with it.
Okay, just a little pinprick. There'll be no more.
That's really a thing. We now have what's considered a tier 1 blood altar, and we want to up it to a tier 2 as soon as possible so that we don't have to do that thing with the pinprick anymore. So all you have to do is take stone, pop it on to the blood altar when there's liquid people in there, and that's going to transform the stone into what's called a blank slate. The blank slates are used to craft runes. You also need a blood orb to do that. So in order to make the blood orb, take a diamond, and as long as there's 2,000 liquid people in your blood altar, that'll transform the diamond into a blood orb. Need the runes to up the tier of your altar. Now there's different types of runes you can make. Speed runes is the one that I'm going to shoot for first. We need 9 of them to surround where these stone bricks are around the altar. And that will make this a tier 2 altar. So with this weak blood orb, if you hold it in your hand and you right click, that's now bound to me. You now take the weak blood orb that's bound to yourself, and you can click it onto your blood altar. And while there's liquid people in there, it will fill up the blood orb. I believe the blood orb needs to be full or have some life essence in here in order to craft these things. If I'm incorrect, somebody in the comments will surely correct me. All right, that's got enough life essence in there. Let me make up some more blank slates so that we can make the blank runes. To make the speed runes, I need 9 of them to surround this altar to get it to a tier 2 altar. Then we can start feeding other people's essence into here and not our own. I'll bring it back once I have this at a tier 2, show you how that's going to work. We now have enough to upgrade our altar to a tier 2. So we need 9 blank runes, and then like I said, I'm going to use speed runes, so we need 9 of these. The runes go down just like so, 1 level below the altar. That's now a tier 2 blood altar. How much essence is in there? We need to put a little bit more in there before we do this. I'm going to take an iron sword and pop that on the blood altar. And since this is now a tier 2 blood altar, that's going to change this sword. A dagger of sacrifice. We're going to use this dagger to kill villagers that are standing on top of the blood altar. They give the most liquid people out of anything. 1,000 LP per villager is what you'll get. If you do zombies or any other aggressive mob, you'll get 500 LP per mob. If you do passive animals, cows, chickens, whatever, you'll get 250 LP. So that's why we're going to be sacrificing villagers. I guess I'm horrible at math because you only need 8 runes to make a tier 2 blood altar. Now let's get into how we're doing these villagers. Up here, I have inside this magical cardboard box a spawner with villagers in there that I used when I was making the Mahu sword and leveling that up. We're going to use this guy because this thing cranks out villagers and is probably going to be a little too fast, but it's redstone controlled. So we need to put a redstone link up here. Let's use a blank slate to mark that. We'll put 2 in there, and then we need another redstone link down here. I'm going to put it right there. We'll put 2 in here. That's going to be our sender. I'll put a lever down below here, and then this one up here will be the receiver. So you just shift, right click with an open hand. It gives you that antenna there. When I hit that lever down there, this will power the spawner, and we should get villagers. Now we need them to drop into that hole down there. So I'm going to use vector plates, and we're going to point them down into the hole. So now any villager that spawns in here should fall on here, gets pushed, boom, he's going to drop right here. Now we can finish our build up. Close this off. So we now have this area closed off. We can stand right here, activate the villagers. They'll come down, take the dagger of sacrifice, and fill up the blood altar with their liquid people. Perfect. I can now do a cheesy automation to make runes. We're going to feed stone from this chest into the blood altar. Then we'll come out of here. I'm going to add 2 drawers here for now. This one, we're going to put blank slates in here. And then that one, we need to go turn a blank slate into whatever this is called. Reinforced slate. We now have access to blank slates and reinforced slates. And what I want to make is a rune of sacrifice, because this increases the amount of liquid people that you get for every villager that we have to off. So we need reinforced slates, and we also need blank slates to make the blank runes. But we also need a new blood orb. We need an apprentice blood orb. So in order to make that, you need 5,000 LP in your altar. Put a block of redstone down on there, and that's going to turn that block of redstone into an apprentice blood orb. Just like so. We're going to do the same thing. Take the blood orb, right click on it. That's bound to me. I'm going to put it back on there, put some liquid people in there, and then we're going to sort this deal out. The first thing I want to make is blank slates. So if I take a wrench, disconnect this one, pull from here, we could just throw stone into here. Just make sure you don't put too much in at once, because you want to make sure that your blood altar doesn't run out of blood, or else it wastes it and it won't transform the item, and it'll start all over from scratch if you go down to 0 in liquid people. And then that'll feed right into this drawer. We can get a bunch of blank slates going, and then I'll work on getting some reinforced slates. And we need to make 20 runes the next tier 3 level blood altar. He said, hell no, I ain't going down there. I see what you did to my boys. Let me just clarify one thing. Using this is a cheesy way to get this kind of semi-automated, right? Because then you can hold down shift, check your liquid people on the top left there. It shows you the amount. And it also, when you have slates in here, it'll tell you at what stage of the process they're in by holding down shift and looking at this. So you can stand here, whack the villagers, check your liquid essence level, and this is automated to a point where it's simple to do, and all you're using is item pipes. So once I filled up the blank slates, disconnected this pipe, and now I'm shooting the reinforced slates into this box, so they'll stay on this altar until they turn reinforced slates, and then they'll get pulled off and shot into the box. Took out 20 blank slates and 20 reinforced slates. And we're now going to go make runes for the tier 3 altar. First thing we need is 20 blank slates. For some reason, that doesn't want to go in there. We do that. Boom. We got the 20. Now we need these runes of sacrifice. We're going to do 20 of these. Blood orb. And that is our 20 runes of sacrifice. Now we can go install these and we'll have a tier 3 blood altar. These are going right here. One down and one away from the last runes that made up the tier 2 altar. Hopefully that makes sense. Now you can use blank runes here. It will do the same thing. I'm just trying to set this altar up to something that's going to be worthwhile when we make it to the tier 4, which the tier 4 is a whole nother process. And I think we're going to end it right here at a tier 3 blood altar, because this video is getting a little long in the tooth and I like to keep them short. So folks, thank you so much for watching. Have fun and peace.